Good morning. How's everybody?
Great.
Fabulous. That is wonderful. All right. Let's see. 12 people. So that means we're missing. Help me out, guys. It's always a struggle.
Alex.
One of the Alexes? Oh, Alex V. He'll probably show up late. He does that lately. That's kind of become his thing. It used to be Zazi's thing, but now it's kind of Alex's thing. Zazi's got her camera on today. She's like rocking and raring to go. Go team. She's all about production. She's like, you know what I want to do today? I want to learn some production. Like, that's what I want to do today, Zazi. I want to learn production. I'm so excited. This is a big lesson. It's enormous. It's enormous, and I'm gonna do. I should take off my sweatshirt because it's gonna get warm in here. This is a big lesson, and I'm gonna do the best I can to make it all work. So bear with me. Normally, if we were in class, I would assign you like a little character part, like a little role, and we would be like practicing standing up, moving around the room, and like pretending that we're shooting a scene and all this kind of stuff. So we're just gonna have to pretend that we're doing that. Okay, we're gonna do the best we can. And we will make it work. We will figure it out. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be good stuff. It's going to be amazing. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, so today's lesson, as I mentioned, is production, part two. Part two. So we began our series the other day, and today we're gonna get into the real meat of production, how to shoot a scene, like how to actually do it. Like last year, you were juniors, you went out there and you just kind of hit record with your friends and you made a little movie, and that's fun and that's great and that's dandy. We're past that now. We've like done planning, we've done shot lists, we've done strip boards, which should be in my Dropbox, they're due. Right? So like we've done all this work. So we're going to do production the right way, the most efficient way possible. That is the goal, to do it as quickly as possible so that you save time, so that you save money, so that you can get into post-production as quickly as possible. And I think given our current circumstances, it's even more important that you don't waste time on set, right? Even more important that you get through this as quickly as possible, because we don't know what next week's going to look like or the week after that. I mean, we're headed in a good direction, right? Things have opened up. That's great. Like things are more open. I hear we're getting restaurant dining like soon. So that's great. I think the outdoor dining's already begun. So that's awesome. So like things are opening up. The rules have, lessened somewhat. But you never know what might happen. So it might be a good idea to get through our production as quickly as possible while we have this window that we don't know if it will remain open. So today's lesson is all about how to do production the real way, the professional way. Like all the things that you're going to see on a professional shoot are the things that we're going to cover today. And these are things that you're going to do on your production shoots. Okay? So we're going to do the best that we can here today through the magic of Zoom video. And if you have questions, please ask. And you will have an opportunity to practice this a little bit before you actually start shooting your own narratives, because I do have an assignment for you that I'm going to give you at the end of class, where you get to kind of practice and fail at this and learn from failing and then get better at it before you actually do your real narrative shoots, so that you kind of iron out any wrinkles that you may have along the way. So production, part two, coverage, camera, sound, and slate. All right, there we go. So for starters, we need to review just a little bit, because we need the proper context. This is production part two after all. So we need to review just a little bit of what happened before so that we are in the right frame of mind. So everything we're talking about today, we're going to use on the basis of shooting a dialogue scene. Okay, so we're going to pretend we're shooting a dialogue scene, and many of you are going to be shooting dialogue scenes, because dialogue scenes are really simple to kind of see all the rules and to see kind of everything in place. And it's going to all come together. Everything that we've learned so far is going to come together in shooting a dialogue scene. Okay. Not every scene that you shoot is going to be a dialogue scene. But this is a really good basis for us to build upon, for us to learn and for us to practice everything that we need to do as we move forward. So in shooting a dialogue scene, as you may recall from our previous lessons, but also you may recall from our junior year, if you were here, right? We often begin our scenes with what we call the master shot, okay? When you were juniors, we called this Griffith's pattern, remember? Right? We start wide and then get closer and closer and closer until we get into the close-ups, which build our character emotion and help the audience identify with those characters, where they can see the emotion on people's face. Are they happy? Are they excited? Are they crying? What is it, right? So when you're shooting a dialogue scene, we often have our master shot. This is the wide shot. This has everything that's happening in the scene. Both of my characters, you guys remember this, both of my characters, what's going on. So if I'm shooting me and Optimus Prime, this was the example that I gave way back when in that lesson, right? If I'm shooting me and Optimus Prime having a dialogue scene, the master shot is going to have us both, right? Okay. And then we have the singles. The singles are the individual shots of the individual actors. These are the close-ups of the principals. So if I'm shooting Optimus Prime, you might get a little bit of like the back of my head. You might get like an over-the-shoulder thing. And then you're going to get Optimus Prime's singles, right? So if I show my example here so you can see. All right, so here's our master shot. Hello, Optimus Prime. Hello, Mr. Taylor. And we're going to do our scene and everything. And if we're going to do our singles, here's Optimus Prime. We're going to get a nice big close-up of Optimus Prime. See if the camera will focus on him. Focus, focus. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you, Optimus Prime. That's his line. That's the thing that he says. Okay. And then if I'm doing my single, then it's going to be just of me. And maybe I'll see like the back of, maybe it's like an over the shoulder shot. Maybe I'll see like the back of Optimus Prime. Maybe I won't. Maybe it's just going to be like just me. Like it depends on how you decide to shoot your scene. If, for example, Optimus Prime is only available for a limited amount of time because he's such a hot commodity, and he is, trust me, he is, right? I might shoot the wide shots of us both, and then I might shoot his single, and then I might say, see you later, Optimus Prime. I know you have to go fight Megatron. This is true. Transform and roll out. And he'll leave, and then I might shoot my singles by myself. And I might someone might feed me lines, and you'll just get this shot of me without Optimus Prime. And when I edit it in, the audience won't know the difference. Like, this is a good strategy if you have someone who can't stay for the entire shoot, for example, or if you are struggling with like scheduling, or you're struggling with getting your both of your actors together at the same time. It's even, I even talked about this with my juniors yesterday. This might even be a COVID strategy for you, right? Like, you could, in theory, shoot the wide shot on a tripod like your double exercise that you did last year when you were juniors, right? And then shoot individual singles of different actors on totally different days. So the actors are never actually there at the same time. Now, if they interact with each other, that's going to be a real challenge. I wouldn't recommend that. That's sort of a last resort, but it could be done. So for example, I had some juniors who had a scene on a park bench of two people sitting there. They showed me some dailies yesterday, and there were two people sitting on a park bench, and there was no dialogue because they're doing their first year narratives, right? And they're just kind of sitting there on the bench, just kind of looking around. Well, that's an easy shot they could have doubled if they needed to, for example. And then they could cut in and show those singles. So remember, everything that you've learned up until this point is now culminating in this glorious moment that is your senior narrative. So let me go back to my screen here. Thank you, Optimus Prime. You're welcome. All right. So here are the singles. We talked about the singles, and then we talked about inserts. You guys remember inserts? These are the things that happen in the scene that we want to like call attention to. If you remember your first year film lessons from last year, this is Hitchcock and the key, right? Remember the key that passes when we talked about our Hitchcock lesson? This is the wine bottles. This is all the stuff that's happening in the scene. I can see it, but it's important, so you have to show it. right? Remember, show, don't tell? It's important, so I have to see it. If I'm paying someone off in the back alley because I'm buying contraband chocolate milk, right? Okay, because it's only available in certain places or whatever, and it's like I need my fix of chocolate milk, right? So there I am in the back alley behind the warehouse paying off someone for my chocolate milk. It's probably important that you cut in and show the money changing hands, show the chocolate milk changing hands, right? Because it's important. The audience needs to see that. If you keep it on the wide shot, the audience won't see it and they won't understand that it's actually important. So remember, show things that are important. We learned that in our Hitchcock lesson. These are called inserts. We're going to use the correct vocabulary now. Now we're not just going to say Griffith and Hitchcock. We're going to say master shots and inserts and singles. We're going to use the correct terminology. So make sure that you get your inserts for your shot, and then you have your cutaways. And you remember, cutaways are exactly what they sound like. You're cutting away from that master shot to show something else, usually something that is interrupting the scene or something that the actors see that wasn't in the master shot. So like if me and Optimus Prime are here and I look over at the clock and you want to show my POV of the clock because the audience needs to see that, that's important. What am I looking at? What am I reacting to? That's a cutaway because that clock was not visible in the master shot. Okay, all review. You guys remember all this stuff? Cool? Cool. I see lots of nodding heads. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on through this review section quickly because I want to make sure we have enough time to cover all the new stuff. So remember, this is called triangle coverage because there's 3 shots, the masters and the 2 singles, and then everything else is built upon that, okay? And then we've got inserts and cutaways added in. Remember, it's important to think about your continuity, okay? If your actor delivers a certain line and brushes their hair back when they say that certain word, and you like that take, you need to make sure that they're doing it in all the same places so the continuity will match, right? Otherwise, you have to edit around it, which is a challenge. And there's always going to be some level of editing around stuff because not every take is going to be exactly the same. But you do need to have some continuity. Otherwise, it's going to be really frustrating when you get into the editing room. Maybe you learned this in previous projects before, right? It can be really frustrating if your continuity doesn't line up. That, by the way, is one of the skills that makes a good actor. It's not just being a believable character and getting the audience to emote. That's a huge part of it, obviously. But the other huge part of being a good actor is being able to deliver the same lines with the same emotion over and over and over again in the exact same way. That's also like a really important skill of being an actor that people forget. But that's like a huge part of it because the continuity matters so much. All right. Remember that when you're shooting these dialogue type of scenes, remember that the screen direction, your eye lines between characters really matter. We talked about screen direction way back when we did chase scene videos. Remember those? We talked about eye lines and how important eye lines are when we talked about chase scenes and the 180-degree rule. All these things still matter. In fact, now they matter even more because now we're interacting with 2 characters who are talking to each other. It would look a little strange if me and Optimus Prime had different eye lines and we didn't look like we were actually talking to each other. Like that would be a problem. You don't want that to happen. So make sure that you maintain that 180-degree rule. If I'm always on one side of the screen and Optimus Prime is always on the other, make sure that you maintain that for the benefit of the audience because the audience doesn't have the whole world to see. All they see is that little square that you filmed. That's their only frame of reference. Their world is just that window. That's all they got. Okay, so there's the left side of the world and the right side of the world, right? Which character is on which side, and you need to make sure you stay consistent for the duration of that scene unless you change it, unless you move the camera so the audience can see, or the characters move so the audience can see and they can follow the action. So maintain that 180-degree rule. That becomes really important. We watched this video, as you may recall. This was from Film Riot. They did that little Harry Potter skit that was fun and cute. There's actually a sequel if you want to keep watching the Film Riot channel. You see what happens next. I'm not showing it today because you've seen it already, but it is in my slides, and you can watch it when I share my slides with you if you want to review this because he goes through all of this in triangle coverage in detail again with visuals, the aid of visuals. It's also in my previous lesson on triangle coverage, which is already uploaded to YouTube on my YouTube channel. So you can always check that out as well. So I'm not going to show it, but I just wanted to have this in your mind, that triangle coverage, because everything that we're going to do next is going to hinge upon all this stuff that we've learned so far. It's all coming to a head now. Everything, your line scripts, the breakdown, the triangle coverage, all this stuff is now going to matter as we get into our actual production. So in pre-production part 1, we talked about the different departments in the film industry. Today, we're going to focus on specific jobs that you are going to do or that you are going to have crew do for you on your sets because it's go time. So there were a lot of jobs, as you may remember, when we did our lesson last week. Like there were a ton of jobs. Some of you went through like 6 jobs in your department. Some of you had like 3. I think one of you had like 8 or 9, right? Like there was a bunch for some of those departments. Today, we're going to talk about the ones that you need to do, the ones that you can't get away with skipping. We're going to put all those other ones aside because we're tiny little film production here. But we're going to talk about the jobs that have to happen on any shoot, okay? So they are the director of photography, also known as the DP or the cinematographer, the assistant director, also known as the first AD, the camera operator, the sound mixer, the boom operator, the first assistant camera or the first AC, also sometimes called focus, and the second assistant camera, also sometimes called slate or the second AC. These are the jobs that we're going to talk about today. These are all the jobs that are going to happen on your shoots. Now, one person on a shoot like yours can do a whole bunch of these jobs. So you're not going to need 10 people on your set. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these are all the jobs that you are going to be covering as you and your partner and maybe an additional crew member help you shoot your scenes. And we're going to go over all these so that you understand what they all do. And then you can kind of figure out, okay, I can do this job and this job and this job, but someone else is going to have to do this job, this job, and this job. And you can kind of see how to break it up and what makes the most sense for you, because it might be different depending on your needs and your scene and what the demands of your movie are. Okay. Oh yeah, an actor. Don't forget about the actor. There's also an actor. There's an actor in your shoot, presumably. All right. So the first job is the director. That I'm going to talk. I'm going to lump a few together right away. So the director of photography, and the first AD. These are jobs that like you and your partner should be doing yourselves. Like you're already doing them. Okay, you're already doing them. You're going to do them on set. Like that's 3 jobs right there that one of you can do, or that both of you can share. Okay, so as you know, the director and the DP and the first AD, they plan out every shot. Okay, you've already done that. You've lined your script. You've planned it out. You made a shot list or a storyboard. Okay, you've already done that. Okay, check that one off the list. Congratulations, we're partway there. All right, it's your job to think about the framing of your shot. Okay, if you made a storyboard, you've already done this. Congratulations. Check that one off the list. If you haven't made a storyboard, you've probably thought at least about like, is this a medium shot? That should be on your shot list, right? Is this a medium shot? Is this a close-up? You've probably already thought about it. All you need to do now is just think about the 180-degree rule. How is it going to interact with on your set? That's simple. You can draw a little thumbnail on your screenplay if you want. Be like, yeah, don't forget, put this person on the left, put this person on the right. How am I going to frame this shot? Right? Okay. So that's simple. That's easy. All right. Lighting. Okay, we're not going to talk about lighting today. We're just lighting is its own animal. It's its own thing. It's coming up. Okay, it's coming up, but we're not even going to talk about lighting today because it's a whole thing. So we're gonna put that aside for now, but know that is also your responsibility as a director and as a director of photography. Okay, the blocking. Remember our film mode lesson when we watched part of Citizen Kane and the blocking and how important that was. Okay, it's your job to come up with that stuff. Is there blocking in your scene? Is there not blocking in your scene? Are there any cool film mode things happening in your scene? Right? Your job. Okay. The director is going to work with the actors, try to get the best performance, make the actors feel comfortable. If you recall back to last year, if you were here, when working with actors or working with interviews when you were doing your documentary, remember, you really want to make them feel good about themselves because you want them to be comfortable. If they get uncomfortable, they tighten up. And if they tighten up, you're not going to get a good performance. So remember, treat your actors with kid gloves because they are babies. They are really big babies. All right. So the director's job is to work with actors, okay? The director of photography is the head of the camera department. We learned that the other day, right? And the first AD, their job is to stay on schedule and to make sure they're getting all their shots and to make sure they have full coverage, okay? So remember, the director has the vision, right? The director of photography does a little bit of both. And the first AD is like the person who gets stuff done. Okay. So think about your partnerships and think about kind of where do you fall in and where does your partner fall in? Like where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses and where are your partner's strengths? Right? Like who would be good at getting stuff done and keeping us to the schedule? And who would be good at working with the actors and making them feel good and getting a good performance out of them, right? Like be thinking about that because you can divvy up these responsibilities on any film shoot if you're co-directing with someone. If you're not co-directing with someone, then you've got a first AD that presumably you're hiring yourself and, then you let them keep you on schedule. Or if you're someone who is a person who stays on schedule, maybe you're a first AD. Maybe that's your job. Maybe that's your calling in the film world. All right. We're now getting to a point where you should know yourself and your skills and where you're at well enough, just about, that you're starting to understand where your niche is. Where do you fit in film production? Okay. That doesn't mean you can't grow your skills. It doesn't mean you can't learn new skills and fall into a different niche in the future. But what are you naturally good at? Where do you naturally fall? What's your wheelhouse? What are you really skilled at? What do you excel at? And be thinking about that. Lean into that. Use those talents that you do have, that you're naturally gifted with, or that you're already good at. Develop the others, of course. But lean into your strengths as well. And if you have a particular strength, allow yourself to, or if your partner has a particular strength, allow them to do that, because that's something that will just make your film better. Okay. And the film industry is so niched. It's good to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are as well. All right, the camera operator. And again, this is something that you can do as well. Okay, so far we haven't added anyone additional to your set. So far, it's just you. It's not even your partner. Like you could do all these so far. Okay, it's a little much. It'd be nice to have, two of you there because you're thinking about several things at once. But this can all be done by one person so far. So we got our camera operator. Okay, the camera operator operates the camera. Science. Okay. And the camera operator calls camera for the director. So when the director is going to film me and Optimus Prime, let me bring up me and Optimus Prime again. Okay. So when the camera is going to film me and Optimus Prime, we're ready to do our scene. We're in character. We're all excited about it. Optimus Prime looks great. My hair is really big today. Okay. All right. So we're all ready to go. Okay. All right. We're going to do our scene. Okay. We don't just hit record and say ready, go. That's not the way it works. Okay. The director, calls quiet on the set, right? Maybe you've heard this before. Quiet on the set. So the director, I'm the director now. Quiet on the set, quiet on the set. Everyone gets real quiet. Okay. And then I say camera. And the camera person, the camera operator, the person behind the camera, hits the record button and audibly says rolling. And when I hear rolling as a director, that is a confirmation that the camera operator has hit record. Okay? I don't know if it's happened to any of you, but it's usually happened to someone, and it's definitely happened to me in my life, where you thought you were recording, but you didn't actually record. Has that ever happened to any of you? Anyone? Maybe? Okay? Where you thought you were recording because you can see it on the little screen, and then you get through your shot and you're like, and you hit stop, and then you realize you hit record. And you're like, oh no. Oh, what did I do? Right? It happens. It happens to the best of us. That's why we do this in the film industry. Okay? The director calls camera, and then there is a confirmation. So it's a fail-safe. It's a two-step process. Camera, hit the button. Rolling. And when the director hears rolling, that is a confirmation that that red dot on your camera is lit up and that you are actually rolling. Okay? So that's a really important part. Do not skip that part. Very, very important. You don't want to accidentally shoot a scene without shooting a scene. That would be a problem. All right. Next. The camera operator follows the plan from the director of photography. So if there's any kind of camera movement, for example, they have to follow that plan. If it's a steady cam shot, if it's a tracking shot, if it's a pan or a tilt, or maybe it's a handheld shot, or maybe it's just a tripod shot, but it's a tight tripod shot, and they're shooting a single, and they want to make sure that that person's head stays on the rule of thirds, right? And if that's what the director wants, that's what the camera operator has got to do. So you want to make sure that they follow that plan, right? Okay. The camera operator only stops recording when the director calls for it. In the same way that they start recording, they do not stop until the director calls for it. Never, as a camera operator, stop recording unless the director says cut. Some of the best scenes in movies have happened after the scene stopped, but before the director said cut. Stuff that was improv or stuff that the actors just kind of got into. And a good actor will not break character until the director says cut. And sometimes I'll do this, like when normally we would have had a great acting lesson by now. We haven't. Sorry. But normally, like like I'll do this as a director. Like sometimes I'll let a scene play out and the scene's over and I'll let it linger. I'll just let it sit there because I'm curious what the actors are going to do. Maybe they'll add something, you know, like maybe they'll see something that I didn't. Maybe it'll be something funny. Maybe it'll be something emotive. I don't know. I've seen some cool stuff happen. All right. So a good actor will stay in character until the director says cut. And the camera operator will keep rolling until the director says cut. Okay. When there's a first AC, a first assistant camera, it's their job to maintain focus. That's usually done on much larger cameras. Your cameras are pretty small. It's really easy for you just to put a hand on it if you're a camera operator. So you can pull focus. You don't really need a first AC on your shoots, but that's a job that if you were doing the camera operator job and you needed to change focus or rack focus, technically, you would also be doing the responsibilities of a first AC. So we included it in our lesson today. It's also important for the camera operator to know the scene and to know the blocking and to anticipate the movement, right? Especially if we need to keep someone's head in the frame, right? Like I need to know if they're gonna duck or jump or move or something like that, right? And the camera operator needs to know that. So if you know that because you're the director, that's awesome, that's great. And you're running camera, that's fine. You can anticipate that. But if I call Emma over and say, hey, Emma, I need help today. I want you to be my camera operator because Emma just makes everything look beautiful. She just, when she touches a camera, it just, the scenes just look immaculate. The shots are just phenomenal. I don't know what it is. It's just something about Emma. She just has that magic touch. And some people do. That's a real thing, right? So I'm going to bring Emma out onto my shoot and Emma's behind my camera. But if I don't tell Emma what's going on in the scene, she can't anticipate the movement. She can't anticipate the blocking. She's just going to do her best guess. And Emma's talented, but no one's that talented, right? Like we all got to know what's coming, right? Because some of this stuff happens really fast, right? So you want to make sure that if you have somebody else running camera, that they are aware of the blocking and the movement of the scene so that they can anticipate any movement. It's a good idea to walk through the scene. That's a thing that you do. You walk through the scene with the actors and with the camera, and so that everyone is on the same page and knows how it's supposed to look. Okay. All right. The next job that we're going to talk about is the sound mixer / boom operator. I took two jobs and I put them together in one because we're saving people here. All right. So we've got our sound mixer / boom operator. Okay. This is another job that you're going to need because you've got dialogue, you're recording audio. Could it be done by one of you? Yeah, it could. But now you've got one of you on camera and one of you on sound. And now who's paying attention to the actors? Who's really focusing on them? So it can be done by just you and your partner. It's a good idea to get some help if possible. I realize that's not going to be possible for everyone. Okay. But it's a good idea to get someone to help with this job if you can. In the past, I've seen students use their actors that are not in the shot at any given moment. Okay. So that's not a bad way to go, okay? It just kind of depends on the needs of your particular shot. So we've got the sound mixer and the boom operator, okay? Just like the director called for camera and the camera operator hits the button and says rolling, the director also calls for the sound. So the director will say sound, and the sound mixer says speed. And speed is an old term from the film world where we had tape, and it meant that the tape was spinning, the spindles were spinning. There was speed on the tape. The tape was moving, and they just still use that term. So the order goes, the director will say, quiet on the set. Sometimes they'll say lights. They'll turn on the lights if they need to turn on lights because they're saving power. So they might say lights, then they'll say camera. You've heard this before in like televisions and movies and before. You know, camera, and then the camera operator will hit the button and say rolling, and then they'll say sound. And then the sound person will hit the record button, because this happens all the time. This probably happened to some of you last year too, where you thought you were recording sound because you were monitoring sound. Remember, on those audio recorders, you got to hit the button twice. Remember that? You hit the button once and you can hear it, but you're not recording. You got to hit it twice so the numbers are rolling, right? So the sound operator's job is to hit that button, see that the numbers are rolling, and then say speed. It's a confirmation so that nothing goes wrong. This is a fail-safe. It's two-step authentication, right? Two-step verification or whatever you want to call it. So the sound mixer will say speed for the director. And now we know that we're recording sound, okay? It's their job to listen, like through a set of headphones, because you don't know what you're going to get if you're not listening to a set of headphones. Maybe one of your plugs isn't in all the way. If your plug isn't in all the way, you're going to get a whole bunch of buzz and your dialogue is going to be ruined. Okay. Maybe there's something in the background that you weren't really paying attention to, an air conditioner or a fridge humming in the background that you need to unplug, or an airplane and you need to wait for a second. There's a big airplane and it's noisy. Okay. Like you won't know if you can hear it unless you put on those headphones. So you put on a set of headphones and you listen while you are recording. A word of caution, if you're going to use headphones with your audio recorder, and you should, they're earphones, like your little earbuds that come with your phone and stuff. They don't always work great with those audio recorders. So test that. You might hear a bunch of static or something like that. So be mindful of that. Just heads up. The sound mixer listens for peaking. Peaking is when audio gets too loud. So I'm going to peak, for example. Ready? I'm just going to get loud. Are you ready? So just brace yourself. I'm going to turn my microphone up, and can you hear how like distorted and gross it sounds? I can't hear it. Can you hear it? Is it gross? Okay. I'm going to turn my thing back down. Okay. There we go. Better? Better, right? Better. Okay. All right. So that's peaking. You don't want to peak, because if you peak and the light turns red, no amount of work in post-production can fix it. It's distorted, and it's distorted forever. Nothing can be done. Okay? If you're too quiet, you can do a little bit with that. You can raise the volume. You can raise the audio gain. We can remove a little bit of hiss in Adobe Audition. It's not going to be as good as if you got it perfect on set, but it's better to be too quiet than it is to be too loud. So be mindful of that. So they listen for peaking. They listen for a low noise floor. Is the noise floor when no one's talking? Is it loud? Is there a hiss? Is there not a hiss? What is it? Are there sound artifacts? Are there noisy, distorted noises? All right. That's the sound mixer's job to listen for that. And if there's a problem, they got to say, whoa, whoa, hold up, hold up, hold up. You're getting bad sound. Because you don't want to find out in post-production after you've done all of your work, after you've shot your entire movie, that is not the moment to find out that your sound is garbage. Okay. That's a bummer. Then if that happens, and that happens to students every year, okay, if that happens, then you got to record sound in post. You got to get your actors into the ISO booth, or your actors in front of a microphone, and they have to say their lines of dialogue over again while watching the video in the same tempo so that it lines up. Okay, ASR stuff, right? You don't want to have to do that, okay? It can be done, and we've done it many times with great success in some cases, but you don't want to have to do that. Just get it right. Just listen for it. It's not hard. It's not hard to just use your ears and listen if there's a problem, okay? If there is a problem, the sound person says, hold for sound. So we got to wait for that airplane. We got to wait for that leaf blower. I hate leaf blowers. I think they should be outlawed. They're so lame, okay? There's a leaf blower, okay? All right, I got to wait. Hold for sound, okay? That's my job, because the director can't hear, okay? They're focused on something else. The camera operator can't hear. I'm the only one with headphones on right now. I'm the last line of defense right here. Okay, hold up. Wait. There's bad sound. That air conditioner just went on. Can we turn that off? Okay, we turn that off. Okay, we're good. Let's go. All right. I just saved so much trouble for the editor, and you are the editor, so save yourself the trouble. Okay. All right. And if you get good sound and you record good sound, you'll get hired on again next time. Right? And this is your job, right? Because your sound engineers, a sound mixer is going to be hired again and again and again, assuming that they're competent at their job. And if they're not, well, you're not going to work again. And there goes your career. Okay. All right. Boom pole operators. It's their job to keep the boom mic close to the source. You're always, as a rule, when using microphones, you're always going to get better quality sound the closer the microphone is to the source, assuming that the levels are set properly. So right now, normally, I'm teaching, let me stop my screen share so you can see what I'm doing here. So normally, Here we go. Normally, I'm teaching on this little microphone here that I stole from the studio because it sounds really, really pretty. And I usually have it like right around here. You don't see it because it's like below camera. So usually I'm like talking right into this microphone and it sounds really good. Today, I'm not using this microphone. I'm not using this microphone at all because I didn't want to, because I wanted some freedom to move around. Today, I'm speaking on a boom mic, which is suspended above my head. Okay. And these boom mics are directional and they aim pretty well. And they get pretty good sound. In fact, when I listened to the sound difference, there wasn't much difference between this microphone right in front of my face and this boom mic, because this is a good boom mic. Okay. So, but this boom mic is relatively close to me. I could get closer if I wanted to. But here's good because I don't want the boom mic in the frame. Okay. So you, as a boom pole operator, okay, you want to, so like here's a boom pole. Okay. And I'm going to take my microphone and I'm going to put it into my boom pole. This one's not connected, but I'm just using it as an example. Okay. So I got my boom pole and my microphone here, and these poles can extend. Okay. And then they tighten it down, and I'm like, all right, I got my boom pole and it's ready to go. Okay. And I'm going to hold it and I'm going to set my microphone and I'm going to aim it at my actor's chest, because that's where the best sound actually comes from, because it vibrates and resonates around here. You actually don't want to aim it at their mouth or at their throat, because that'll sound a little gravelly. There's better resonance down here in the chest if you aim the microphone there. So you want to aim that boom pole right at the person's chest, and you want to get it as close to the person's chest as you can without being in the frame. So right now I'm in the frame. This is bad. So I'm going to go up, 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 up. There we go. As long as it doesn't pop into the frame, I'm good. Oh, no, it dipped into the frame. That's bad. I once saw a movie starring Sandra Bullock in the 90s before she was really big. Did I tell you this story? Have I told you this story before? This is one of my favorite stories. I go to this movie theater, and I'm watching The Net, and it's all about the dangers of the internet. And if you watch it today, it is hilarious. Oh, my goodness. It is so funny because it's the 90s, the early mid-90s. And here's this movie about the internet, and it's this whole new thing, and it's absolutely hilarious. So here's Sandra Bullock, and there's this grand conspiracy, and she's going to go talk to her friend, the person who we think is trustworthy, who we discover is not actually trustworthy. And it's this huge, like, incredible, like, dramatic scene where she's like freaking out and all this kind of stuff. And she's having this heavy moment in this guy's apartment where she's talking about the danger of these people that are trying to kill her. And everyone in the movie theater is on the edge of their seat. And all of a sudden, as everyone's sitting there watching this really important, hyper scene of drama, this boom mic drops right in the middle of the dialogue scene. And the entire movie theater, I still remember this. I was in Tahoe with my family, with my extended family. There was like 20 of us, and we were all watching this movie. And the entire movie theater just started laughing. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And the boom mic kind of like pops up into the frame. And everyone thought it was so funny. And then we start watching the scene again. And then sure enough, like 20 seconds later, there's the boom mic again, and everyone is just laughing. Any suspension of disbelief that we had is now gone. Like we were totally in this moment of drama and excitement and tension and suspense because Sandra Bullock was fearing for her life, and now we're just laughing. Now this is just a comedy, a bad comedy, because someone let the boom mic fall into the frame, and because some editor and director didn't even notice it and let it go. Like, what was that about? You know, like it would have been easy to just crop it out, but no, like they missed it somehow. And yet everyone in that movie theater saw it, because how could you miss it? Because your eye is naturally drawn to that movement. So funny. Years later, I went back and found that movie because I wanted to show it to my students, and like, I want to show you, and they've since removed it. They've gotten rid of it. So I can't find a version of it that actually has the boom mic drop into the scene like that. But oh my gosh, it was so funny. So when you're doing a boom mic, and a lot of you are going to have to do this on your set or maybe someone else's, you're going to hold that boom mic. You want to hold it so it's aiming down at the person's chest, okay? And then you want to make sure that you stay out of the frame. And as a boom pole operator, this is a skill, right? This is a talent that you need to have, because you can't see the frame all the time. So you need to ask and say, where am I? Where am I? Am I good? Am I good? You know, right there, that's my limit. And they need to kind of figure out, okay, right there, that's my limit. I'm going to hold it just above there. And it gets heavy after a while. I mean, not for me. I lift, I exercise a lot, but you want to, yeah, exactly. So, but you want to make sure that you don't drop within that frame, because it gets real easy to kind of droop over time. But a good boom pole operator can follow the sound and make sure that everything is working the way it should. All right. So, coming back to my screen here. Keep that boom pole out of the frame. Know the scene and blocking. Okay, just like the camera operator needs to anticipate movement, the sound boom pole operator also needs to anticipate movement, okay? Because where's that sound coming from? If I'm shooting a dialogue scene between me and Optimus Prime, I need to know who's speaking next, because I'm going to have to move that boom pole, right? I'm going to have to move the boom pole. So here I am talking, and then here's Optimus Prime's line, right? And I need to know when those lines are happening, because a boom pole operator needs to get it. You don't just hold it right here in the middle. That's lazy, and it's not going to be as good a sound. Okay, a good boom pole operator will move it when it needs to be moved. Okay, and if this is a moving shot or a tracking shot, it becomes even more important, right? So you need to know the scene and you need to know the blocking. And then finally, you need to capture your room noise and your tone. Okay, you're going to want, on every scene location that you go to, you're going to want to record what we call 30 seconds of silence. Okay, you're going to want to record your room tone, because you might need that silence when you're editing, right? It happens all the time, okay? And if you understand why, because you've already done this kind of thing before, then you understand why you need it. And if you don't understand why, you will. You will, okay? Get 30 seconds of silence, just 30 seconds of the natural ambiance of that room, because every room sounds a little bit different. There's electrical hums, there's different acoustics in the room. Like, you're gonna want the sound of just nothing for like 30 seconds. Because when you get into post, you might need that nothing to put in between lines of dialogue. You might need to get rid of somebody laughing in the background and put in some silence. Maybe there's a dog barking, or maybe there's a plane that flies overhead that you didn't stop for, right? Put in that silence where you need to, okay? And you recorded that. Otherwise, you have to go dig through lines of dialogue and try to find stretches of silence. But if you just have 30 seconds of silence, you don't need to do that. You got it. Saves you time, saves you effort. You don't got to worry about it, and that's great. All right, how am I doing on time? Half an hour. Okay, I'm going to hustle, guys. I'm going to hustle. There's a lot to cover today. All right, I'm going to show you this video here from our friends at Rocket Jump Film School. And they're going to show us kind of how to go about being an awesome boom pole operator. And it's going to be great. Here we go.
Hey guys, I'm Kevin. Welcome to Sound Advice. And this week we're going to talk about production sound. Getting high quality production sound while you're filming is essential to starting your film's sound off on the right foot. Actors' performances will always be the best on set, so you want to capture that authentic original performance. So what's the best way to record good production sound, you might ask? Well, it's typically having a sound recording setup that's separate from your camera. Why, you may ask? Well, that's what this video is about. There are two major advantages to recording your sound separate from camera. The first big advantage is that you have someone whose attention is solely focused on the quality of the audio. That person is much more likely to notice any problems with your sound, like distracting noises or technical issues.
Today we're talking about rotoscoping.
Hope for sound. Second, most cameras treat audio recording as a bit of an afterthought, so even expensive cameras will often produce recordings with hiss, noise, or distortion, even if you set your volume levels correctly.
Oh, it works! Look, it works! Here, right here. Heck yeah. Oh, it works! Look, it works! Here, right here. Heck yeah.
For Soundgun, we had sound operate independently from camera using a boom mic. Using a boom mic allows you to get the microphone close to the performance, the optimal position to record clean and natural sounding dialogue. Always communicate with camera before a shot to make sure you're not in the frame, or that you're not casting a shadow that's in the frame. Another option are lavalier mics, like this one here, which are a great option when it's difficult or impossible to boom the shot.
Kevin?
Don't need a boom.
Great.
I'm loved.
While traditional lav mics typically require the actor to carry a transmitter and the sound recordist to have a matching receiver, Rode's SmartLav connects directly to your smartphone and is a great cost-efficient option. Lavalier mics are typically buried beneath the actor's clothing, and they can require a little bit of maintenance now and then, a little bit of adjustment to make sure that they're working properly. Always tell the actor that you're going to make a microphone adjustment before you start adjusting the microphone. Be courteous, respect their personal space. Actors are people too. Poor quality sound can really hurt the immersion and story comprehensibility of your film. If your sound is too soft, it's difficult to hear, and if your sound is too loud, it may be distorted. These are things that are sometimes difficult or impossible to repair in editing, so it's important to try to get it right while you're filming. You want to keep your volume level low enough where you have a little bit of headroom, which is extra space for the sound to get louder than you anticipate it getting. For example, if an actor is talking and they suddenly decide to yell, you'll still be able to record the yell cleanly without distortion. You can also check to see if your recording device has a limiter, which is a built-in function that acts as a bit of a cushion and takes the edge off of distortion if sounds get louder than you anticipate. But keep in mind, this is more of a backup safety feature than a magical fix-all-your-problems thing. There's no magic in the world. Some rooms, particularly rooms that are really big and really empty, can have very distracting reverberation. You can always check how a room sounds by just simply talking in it or, say, clapping your hands. Some locations can be challenging for recording good quality sound, so it's important to know what you can do to improve the quality of your audio. Try turning off things that make noise like this refrigerator. Kevin! Perfect. You can use blankets to reduce reverb in a space or to make friends with homeless drug dealers. Try to place the blanket so your boom mic is pointed towards the blanket, and this will maximize its effect. On a bigger film shoot, you can ask the grip department to help you set up sound blankets. This is their favorite thing to do. It's good to keep in mind how the shot's going to be used in the film. Some shots, like close-up inserts, don't need any sound to be recorded, so you don't have to waste your time.
Rolling?
Grab it and lift. This is typically for shots like inserts, like close-ups on certain objects, where there's nothing in the shot that would make any sound. Look at this beautiful puppy cat. It's not saying or doing anything, because it's dead. You could always record sound, but of corpse, it's not necessary. Oh, we got it. That's it. Sometimes when it's difficult to get clean recordings on set, you can always ask for wild lines, which is having the actors repeat the same performance while they're still on set. You may have seen this previously in our behind the scenes for the TIE Fighter short, where we had Jimmy Kimmel and Freddie do a bunch of grunts and yells for their fight scene. On set, but while the cameras weren't rolling. That way we were able to get a bunch of different choices and clean performances without having to worry about getting in the shot. The great thing about wild lines is because they're being recorded on set, the audio quality will match the rest of your production sound. The great thing about wildlife is that it's part of our heritage as human beings and citizens of the planet Earth. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video has introduced you to the basics of getting good quality production sound and giving you the tools you need to max... Oh. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned something about production sound. Stay tuned next week for Foley. If you don't know what that means, you'll find out in a week. Or you could use Google.
Kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Good video. Good video. Oh, my air conditioner went on. Can you guys hear that? No? Oh, cool. Then I won't worry about it. Okay. So that's sound, okay? Good stuff. I have some additional resources in there if you want to like see more videos about sound or things like that. But those things, obviously, a huge important part of your film, right? Like if you don't have good sound, like that's going to be rough for you. All right. So continuing forward with the jobs that we outlined previously, the next job that we're going to talk about is the second AC, also known as the slate. Okay, now here's where things start to get tricky because now we have someone who's going to work with actors and someone who's going to be the cinematographer and maybe run camera as well. Okay, that's one of you. Okay, then we have someone who's got to worry about sound, right? Okay, and it's their job to focus on the sound, but now we're bringing in the slate. Okay, so this is where you might need another person and there might not be another way around it. Okay, so you can use one of your actors. We oftentimes have actors slate our work. Normally, you are required to get your name into the credits of other people's films. I think I told you that last year for your narratives, right? So normally it's like you're all slating for each other and helping each other out. That's still an option, obviously, if you're comfortable with that. I realize not everyone is, and your circumstances might prevent that. That's fine. That's cool. But you still need to slate your work, okay? So you need to figure out how you're going to manage all these jobs because there is no way around it. You need to hit the record button on your camera and you need to look through the camera to make sure you're getting what you need. But you also need to make sure you get sound and hit record on the sound and listen to the sound and make sure you get what you need. But you also need to do the slate before every shot so that you have everything slated and organized the way it needs to be so that you know you have full coverage and so that it makes it easier for you when you get into post-production. And oh yeah, don't forget the most important job as a director is really to work with the actors and make them feel comfortable and get the best performance out of them. So right there, that's like at least 3 or 4 people probably in a normal circumstance, right? So be thinking about that. How are you going to double up some of these jobs and make that work given our current circumstances if you're unable to get the number of crew members that you would normally have? And you're creative, you're smart people, you're very, very capable. You are in charge of your set, so you can set any rules and put any rules in motion that you want. The industry is working right now. They are working in California right now, and they just take the precautions that they feel are necessary. Another solution that we came up with my junior class the other day was, you have those nice big long telephoto lenses. And if you put those nice big long telephoto lenses on your camera and make sure that your camera is on a tripod and really locked down, you could shoot your close-ups from 50 feet away, literally 50 feet away, and you could still get that close-up that you need. And you can stay so far away from your actor, you would never even be near them. And you only need 6 feet. Right? Like 6 feet's the magic number. So, 50 feet is overkill, right? But that's definitely an option that you could pursue to limit, how close you are to people. It's not always ideal because sometimes we want that 50 millimeter look, right? The telephoto is going to make things look a little bit differently. In some cases, it's going to make things look better, as we talked about last year when we talked about interviews and why you should use a telephoto on interviews and things like that. So that's just something that I wanted to throw out there as we're talking about this. But the job of the second AC and the slate is to slate the work, all right? That's the most important job that they have. So they're going to assist the camera operator. Sometimes they're carrying around extra batteries or hard drives or SD cards, keeping things organized. It's their job to mark the blocking. So sometimes you'll see an assistant camera operator take some gaffer's tape. I have some gaffer's tape here. And they might rip it up and put it on the ground where that actor needs to stand. And that helps give them a little cue on the ground so they can stop in the same place. So it's their job to mark those kinds of things, okay? And the most important job is to slate every job visibly. That's really, really important, and that becomes critical. They also call the shots. Not call the shots like they're in charge. They call the shots, like they literally call the number of the shots. Okay, and it's their job to stay organized. So I'm going to, all right, so if I am a second AC or a slate, okay, first I'm gonna mark my thing. So I've got Nate on my screen right now. So Nate is my actor and he's gonna stand at a certain place. He's gonna walk and stop at this mark. And I wanna make sure that he stops at this mark. So I've got my gaffer's tape here and I'm gonna rip my gaffer's tape. and I'm going to put it. That was a really satisfying sound, by the way. Did you guys hear that? That was great. Oh, so good. So I'm going to mark my gaffer's tape and put it on the ground. It's not going to be in the shot. You're not going to be able to see it because it's not a like showing the ground shot. Okay. All right. But I'm going to put it there on the ground, and Nate, who's a good actor, he's not going to look down to make sure he hits his mark, but he can see it in his peripheral vision, and he can kind of see where it is, and that will allow him to stop so that he stops in the right place for my camera and my focus and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So that's one job. The other job is the slate. And this is the fun job, and it's an important job. So the job of the slate is to keep track and stay organized of all the shots. So I'm going to write on here the name of the production. There's the name of the movie, the director. Hey, that's me. I'm the director. Okay. And then who's camera operator that day? Who's on my screen? Sarah is on my screen. So Sarah's going to be my camera operator that day. Okay. The date, today's date, I can put that in right there. I'm inside the film room. This is an interior shot. Okay. All right. Are the words facing the right way, by the way? It is? Okay. All right. It's backwards to me. So yeah. All right. All right. This is a day shot, but it's interior, so it kind of doesn't matter. Sync and moss. Is it sync or is it moss? Okay. Sync means there's audio being recorded that's synced to this shot. Moss is an old term that comes from the film industry. We don't really know what it means. Some people think it stands for motor-only sound, meaning like the camera-only sound. And some people think it stands for without sound, because there was a German guy on set that day who used to say this shot is without sound. We don't really know. We don't really know. But this is a sync shot because I'm speaking. It's not moss. So I'm going to circle the sync shot. Okay, what's my frame rate? It's important that you need to know that. My frame rate is going to be 24 because I'm shooting a narrative and I like 24 frames per second. Okay, and this is my camera number. If I have more than one camera on shot, I might change this. So like maybe I'm doing a multicam shoot, which is something that I normally would have taught you by now, but we haven't. But we'll get to it. Don't worry. So I might need to adjust that depending on which camera number this is, or I can use this number to talk about which SD card it is. There's a lot of things that I can do here, like what camera number is this? So I only have one camera right now, so I'll just put 1 on there, or camera A. Maybe I'll put camera A, or however I want to number it. The scene number is the shot that corresponds on your shot list, right? So I'm going to say this is shot 7A, take 1, okay? And roll is for the roll of film that we have. Okay, you're not shooting on film. So you could shoot on the number of SD card that you have, but I gave you the hugest SD card. I gave you a 64 gig SD card, which is whopping huge, and you probably won't even need to swap that out. And if you do need to swap that out, you'll probably only need to swap it out once because your partner also has a huge 64 gig SD card. So I suggest, since we're not shooting on film, instead of using this for roll, use this for the audio recorder file number. This will be a huge time saver for you when you're trying to sync your work in post. So I will say, lights, the lights are quiet on the set, lights are on. Okay, camera operator says rolling. Sound operator says rolling. File, they'll look at the screen. File 0021. And I'll put 0021 on here. So now I have it recorded in the sound file. I'm going to have the name of the shot and the name of the audio recorder file number. And in the shot, in the camera audio, and in the camera video, I'm going to have the name of the shot and the audio recorder number. So now it's when I want to sync those two together in Premiere, I just pull it up. I just look at this in Premiere and say, oh, I'm looking for 0021. And then there's the audio file number, bring it in, sync it in, boom, done. So much easier. Can you imagine if you had to dig through like 20 different sound clips? Which one is it? Which one is it? How do I, oh man, I'm gonna have to sync this up. Oh, so frustrating. Then it's the slate's job to say everything on here. Name of the movie. Scene 7A. Audio 0021. Take 1. And I'm gonna make sure that it's all visible on the screen. And then I'm gonna clap it so it's also visible on the screen. because then I can sync up this with the spike in the audio. You know, the spike in the waveform. You know what I'm talking about? That's why we have these things, because they're here to help us sync. They're also here to give us all the information that we need. And they also even have some colors on it, so I can do some color correction right on here if I want to. Isn't that cool? Isn't that handy? Okay, so these are awesome. I have one for each of your productions. Okay, and you are required to use these for your shots. Okay, this is where we're going to take all that information from your shot list and everything, and we're going to put it into each shot. So if you do it right, when you open up Premiere and you look at the thumbnails of all of your shots, all you're going to see are a whole bunch of these with the numbers on it. And you're going to know exactly which shot is which just by looking at the thumbnails. How cool is that? That's cool. That's going to save you so much time, right? Because then it's just a matter of piecing all of those things together. And that is going to be awesome. All right, I'm going to show you a video here. I'm going to apologize right now because I think I'm going to go a little bit into your lunch, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really going as fast as I can. I hope you'll forgive me. But, you know, I let you out early, and sometimes I don't even let you come to class. So, you know, there's that. All right, I'm going to share this video with you. Here we go. This is how to slate a camera. Very informative. How to be a good second AC. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I'm going to teach you how to slate. So the main purpose of a slate is for syncing sound. So you can see visually, you can see the slate clicks together, and then the waveform, you can see the spike. So you would match those two things up in post. Now, there's a lot of information on a slate. You have your roll, which is which card or which reel of film you're on. You have your scene, which is which scene of the film you're shooting. Take, which is which take you're using. If it's MOS, it means there is no sound being recorded. And you would slate by putting your hand in here so that the editor can tell, oh, there's no sound. I don't need to look for it. It's not lost. And everyone is kind of on the same page all at once. Now, a lot of times there's many more shots in a scene than just one. So you would start numbering. You do 1A, 1B, 1C, and just kind of continue through the alphabet. And you want to use a word that is clearly identifiable as that letter. Apple, Alpha, Armageddon, Aliens. You always want to skip I's and O's because just at a quick glance, an I can look like a 1 and an O can look like a 0. So it could look like scene 11 or scene 10. And you just want to make it super easy for everyone to read the slate. So you always just skip I's and O's. So sometimes you'll be filming and it's a close-up and you need to get the slate in there and you have to kind of bring it close to the actor's face. What you don't want to do is clap hard. Oh! See, I just took him out of his moment. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is call soft sticks and then a nice little light clap. You call soft sticks so that way the editor knows that he needs to really listen for that slate. The most important thing is to make sure that the slate is clearly visible in the frame when you clap it, which that was not, so I will call second sticks and make sure that the cameraman gets it. You do that so that way the editor knows that when he's going through, that first clap was a false clap and the second one is the one that he should use to sync the sound. And here's some examples of how to slate for different scenes. 1, awesome, take 1, A mark. Scene 1, take 3, A mark. Business, take 1, A mark. 2, casualties, take 1, A mark. Scene 2, take 6, pickup. 10, accused, take 1, A mark. 18, take 1, mark. 25, basement, take 1, mark. 47, cats, take 1, A, B, mark. 25, conscience, take 1, mark. 25, crying, take 2, A, mark. 3, determined, take 1, A, mark. 3, finances, take 1, A, mark. 3, limousine, take 1, A, mark. 9, Alaska, take 1, A, B, mark. 47, Articuno, take 2, mark. Articuno. And here's some examples of how not to slate for scenes.
4-6, Echo 1.
So do you want to give me the line that I'm in?
Mark! Are you rolling?
I'll do it. I'll be down here. He's going to be slow. I'm in it.
You rolling?
Yep.
Mark. 4-6, Delta 1.
Yep.
4-6, Delta 2. 4-6, Delta 3.
Look scared.
Echo 2. 3.
35 bromance, take 1.
27, probably in the F2. Once again, you're gonna hear it again.
Now, if you're making movies with your friends, or sometimes we do this as well, if you don't have a slate, just use a clap. And that works just as fine. This does not work. Goodbye.
Do. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. But it's good to see like how quickly they do it. Like remember, time is money. Time is money. So they are just flying with all that information. And it's kind of fun because you get to call, you know, a funny word, right? You know, like shot 7. I couldn't even think of a funny word on the spot. So that's aardvarks. I got it. Aardvarks. We're doing aardvarks. So 7 aardvarks, take 1. Mark. He said sometimes you'll hear people say mark, and that's just saying like that's like here come the sticks. I don't usually say mark when I do it, but some people do. It just doesn't matter. It's just kind of your own like unique style, I guess. All right, so I'm gonna scream through this. All right, so as a reminder, here's a slate. Remember, like you've got your master shot that you usually number 1 or maybe 1A, depending on how you chose to do it. And then you got your singles, and then you got your insert shots and your cutaway shots, all this stuff. This is the same exact slide that I used when we talked about this previously. Okay, so you've already done this. You've written it on your line script. You've put it into your shot list, and just going to use that and translate that information and put it onto your slate. All right. Good old Eric Rustum from last year is going to bring this one home for us, and he is going to kind of put all this together into one nice informative video and offer you his tips, his unique tips and tricks for when you are on set shooting production. And he's got some good advice in here. Good old Eric Rustum coming to our rescue here in distance learning. All right, here we go.
Hello and welcome to the production phase. My name is Eric Rustum.
And my name is Joe.
Today we're going to talk about some very important things to remember while you're on set. The first thing we'll talk about is audio. Getting good sound in your film is probably one of the most important parts of filming your scene.
Getting good sound is probably one of the most...
Sorry. Most of you will probably just be using a boom mic attached to your audio recorder. Often it's a good idea to have one person holding the audio recorder and one person holding the boom mic, but often you might not have enough crew members for that. When holding a boom mic, you want to make sure you get high enough that you're able to hear everything that's going on in the scene, and also so that you're not blatantly in the frame. You want to make sure that you're pointing the boom mic directly at the actor's sternum, which is the prime area to catch their voice and everything that goes on around them. This may lead to some uncomfortable positions, but you can take breaks in between takes so you don't get too tired. Sometimes holding the boom mic at a low angle under the frame can be okay, but when you do that outdoors, you could potentially catch the sound of wind and planes more easily, so you should do that only if it's absolutely necessary. If you are taking a break or waiting around while the directors plan their next shots, you could go to a quiet location and record 30 seconds of ambience. Ambience? Ambiance? Whatever. Ambiance is important because it sets the atmosphere of any setting, and cuts in audio can sometimes be covered with those sounds. The next thing we'll talk about is slating. Slate is the last thing that the director calls within the order of things before you yell action.
Quiet on the set. Camera.
Rolling.
Sound. Speed. Slate.
For your senior narrative, slating is simple. You call the scene number, which your director gives to you. You call the take number, and in the roll section of the slate, you call the audio file number. These are all extremely useful pieces of information for the editor of your film to be able to see. Therefore, as a slate, you want to make sure the slate is visible for the camera. Ideally, you want to fill the frame with the slate, and that may require the camera operator to pull focus. When the video you are taking doesn't have sound, you put your thumb in between the clappers. Otherwise, the stick always starts up at the beginning of the shot and then claps. Here's a good example from scene 2 of My Senior Narrative done by Kate. Kate the Slate.
Scene 2, banana, take 3, audio 8.
Kate the Slate did a great job by saying the information loud enough and coming up with a quirky word to go along with the letter. The only problem is that, technically, on a film set, when you have a slate really close to someone's face, you're supposed to say, soft sticks, and then softly clap the slate. Luckily, my friend Trevor Tong was so focused on his role he didn't even flinch, but for other actors it may startle them and impede their performance. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about those two elements of production. Now let's move on to some general tips about what will be helpful for your shoot day. When you move from shot to shot, keeping track of your preferred takes on a sheet of paper will end up saving you a lot of time in the editing room. During my senior narrative, our production manager, Kirsten Andrews, printed out our shot list for the scenes we were filming, as well as a chart meant to keep track of the notes about particular shots. Not only did this save us time in the editing room, but it also allowed us to obtain coverage much quicker. While one of your priorities on set is to get the shot, another important one should be making sure that you are being courteous to your actors and your crew members and not wasting their time. It's time that they are giving to you. Everything you do, you should do with the intention of getting them home as soon as possible while still putting enough effort into your film and having fun. For example, you should definitely set up beforehand so your actors don't have to wait around to get started. Things like this will encourage your actors and crew members to stick with your film to the end. Here's a Joe tip. Sometimes the order of shots on your line script and your shot list doesn't fit the order that you would want to shoot in. You might have a limited time with extras or a particular actor. So on the day of your shoots, you may want to create a quick order of shots that makes sense to you. Being on set can be very stressful. In my senior narrative, we had a party scene with about 20 extras, so it was a lot to manage. But because I had dependable partners and a lot of pre-production work to go into it, we were able to make it to the end. Thank you for watching. I hope these tips were helpful, and we'll see you in the post-production phase. Yeah, I'll see you in the post-production phase. Ew, dude, what the f?
Good old Eric Rustum. All right. No, go. There we go. Okay. Not doing so bad. All right. It's 12:15 right now, and we're basically done. So we're just about there, folks. We're just about there. All right. So some good tips in there that that I did not mention that I'm glad that he did. So for example, marking your preferred takes while you go is a huge time saver. I've started doing that regularly on my own little shoots. Even just an audio thing, like if you like that take, like you can mark it on your piece of paper or whatever. But you could also and this doesn't always work, but like if you didn't have a piece of paper to mark all that stuff down or enter it into your phone or whatever, some things that I do when I'm working alone, filming something, I will, before I cut, I will say, mark that like into the camera or into the audio recorder so that I know like, oh, I liked that take. That was a good one. And then I can listen for the one, okay, which one had the, I can just go right to the end of the clip and listen for them, mark that and be like, oh yeah, that's the one that I want. It's faster if you mark it down, like if you actually mark it down on a piece of paper and say preferred takes. This is why there's an option for that on your shot list template that I made you guys do. You'll remember there's a column there that I put in that said preferred, and you can sit there and edit that spreadsheet however you want if you want to use that, or you can make your own. Like Kirsten did on their shoot, where she just marked everything like super, super detailed with every single shot that she did, which is why she was such a good production manager and why she could totally do that as a career if she wanted to. And that saved them a lot of time and a lot of trouble. When it came time to edit, they didn't have to wade through all the garbage. They already knew which takes they wanted. They already knew which takes were the good ones. And that saved them a heck of a lot of time, which was a good, useful tip. All right. We are towards the end here. So this is what's happening now. We have an activity. One that I have postponed that we will be doing now. Okay. And the activity is in groups of 3 or 4. I'm going to provide you a screenplay. I have a short screenplay that I wrote. It's like 3 pages long. And it's a dialogue scene. And in your group of 3 or 4, you're going to take that screenplay. You can line the script. Normally, we would have done this. Like, this was part of a lesson that I normally would have done a while ago with you guys. When I taught you script breakdowns and script linings of the script, I would have given you this script in class, and you would have done all of this stuff in class to practice it, to breaking it up into 8ths, to break down the script and highlight all the props and the actors, and then to line the script and figure out how you would shoot this if you were going to shoot this. And now, lo and behold, you are going to shoot this, because I want you to practice something before you do it for reals. So this is an opportunity for you to practice it and get it horribly, horribly wrong. And there's no major consequences for that because it's practice. It's an in-class activity. The ultimate quality of this isn't really what I'm grading. What I'm grading is the process. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so you can have some fun with this. So you're going to include the master shot, single shots, inserts, cutaways, use some creativity to visually tell the story. But the most important thing is, are you going to shoot the scene by practicing the proper production flow? Okay, with the boom mic and with the slate and calling it and saying the numbers. This is what I want you to practice. This is the part that I'm grading. This is the part that I really care about, because I want you to get those skills. Okay, so this is the part that you're going to do in your group of 3 or 4. My screenplay is somewhat ambiguous. I mean, it's clear what it is, but I left out a lot of details as far as how things are supposed to look. You are meant to interpret it as you wish. You may not change the dialogue. You have to follow the screenplay. But you may interpret the characters how you wish. For example, I've had students do this with characters, and they made the characters like really frightening, or they made the characters falling in love, or they made the characters like one of them holding the other hostage, like literally holding them hostage. I've seen ones where the character was schizophrenic and they were talking to themselves. I've seen other ones where the character like had an imaginary friend, you know, like I've seen it done with all kinds of stuff. So the point that I'm making here is that this is meant to be a fun exercise. So have some fun with it. Shoot it however you want. Interpret the story however you wish, and enjoy shooting this. Okay. So the dialogue scene is here in my slides. It's called Inciting Incident. There's a link to it. I will share these slides with you. And you click the link, and as long as you're logged into your Freestyle account, you will be able to see it as it's a PDF, and then you can download it or keep it on your phone or do whatever you want. The requirements for this assignment, again, the part that I really care about is the workflow, the process. I really don't care too much about the finished product and how the finished product looks. I mean, it should, like, if you do the process well, it should come out looking good, right? Because you did the process well. If it came out looking horrible, that would be a sign that you didn't do the process very well, okay? But it's really the process that I'm looking at. It's really the process that I'm paying attention to. And I'm going to ask to see some of your raw footage. You are going to get to edit these, because I think editing helps you see how the process helps you in editing. And I think that's an important part of it. So you are going to edit it and like turn in a completed scene, and we can watch those and laugh at them together and everything. But I am probably going to ask to see a few of your daily shots as well, to make sure that you're going through the slate properly and all that kind of stuff, because I want to set you guys up for success in the future on your senior narratives, but also on other stuff. Like if you decide you want to do more of this in the future, whether you're going to do it in college or you're going to try to do it as a career, or you just want to like get this skill and master it and be really good at it. So that is the purpose of this assignment. It's not worth a whole ton of points. It's worth a little points, just enough to make sure that you do it. But it's meant to be an exercise for you to practice. And if you struggle through it, like that's okay. That's the point. The point is for you to learn by doing. And if you mess it up a little bit, that's okay, because I want you to mess this up so that you're ready when you do it for reals on your own shoot. Does that make sense? You guys cool with that? Comfortable with that? Okay. All right. So normally I would say you have to work with people that you've never worked with before. You know how I always like to do that. I'm not going to do that to you, because I realize like things are a little different right now. So you may work with whomever you want to work with, and you may figure out the best way to go about doing that as far as you know, making sure that everyone is safe and comfortable and stuff like that. But we do need to practice these skills, and so this is the best way that I can figure out how to do it. My suggestion would be for you and your narrative partner. I normally require this. I'm not going to require it of you, but I'm going to really admonish you. I would encourage you and your narrative partner to split and go into different groups. That way you'll learn from different people, and it'll benefit you in the future. Okay. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But that I really encourage you for you and your partner to split, because it'll allow you to learn from others. So that when you'll bring back new skills that will benefit both of you when you work together on your narrative. And we're still a little ways away from your own narrative. We still got to do our lighting lesson, and we still got to make sure that we're all set up on this stuff. So we're still a couple weeks away from that. But that would be my suggestion. I'm not going to require it, but that would be my suggestion. This finished little mini project, right now I have it due on the calendar like in a couple weeks. I I don't remember what date I put on it. I think I put it on the slate. I'm open to changing that if need be. We will not have class on Tuesday. However, you need to come in because you need to get a slate. So you need to send someone in from your group to get a slate and to get a boom mic and a boom pole and a cord so it'll connect to your audio recorder. So the day to do that is Monday, because I will be here teaching my juniors, and I will have them out and ready to go. So you can come in at any time, even if I'm teaching class, you can just come in because I'm just doing dailies with juniors. It's not a big deal. So you can just come in and I'll have them like ready to go, and you can just grab one and wave to me and I'll wave back and you're good to go. And I'll know who has it. So the day to do that is Monday. I will be here from 10:45 in the morning until like 2:45, like probably until 3 p.m. I'd like to leave sooner if everyone comes to get one by then. But I'll be here until 3 if I need to be, because I know you guys have other classes to go to and stuff like that. So I will put that on the slate as well. I'll add that as well. So your whole group doesn't need to come in. Just send one person to come and grab the gear. And then you guys need to figure out how to kind of navigate this and shoot this as best you want. Okay. Act for yourselves. Okay. I don't care if you wear masks in the shot. That's not the point. The point is the process. The point is the flow, right? The point is the slate, the boom mic, all that kind of stuff. So do whatever you think, but be creative. Like, it is supposed to be a fun assignment. This is normally a really fun assignment that we do in class, like around freestyle. So I have some fun, guys. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to have some fun here. So please don't look at it as work. Look at it as an opportunity to do something fun, and practice your film skills. That's really what it's meant to be. I hope this is not drudgery for you. I hope this is an opportunity to express some creativity and laugh at something and have some fun, and enjoy practicing your film skills however best you can. And I will leave the rest up to you. You're in charge of your set. Yeah, go ahead.
When should we have the finished product done by?
So I will reiterate that as we go, but my initial plan was to have it due not next week, but next Tuesday. So you're going to shoot it and then you guys can edit it. And then I would like to watch them for fun, like not next Tuesday, because we won't have class on Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And this is a short scene, guys. It's 3 pages long. It's 3 pages and it's just triangle coverage. So it's not going to take you long to edit. If you take a long time editing this, it's probably because you're having fun with it and because you went above and beyond and you're doing something fun or creative with it, which I encourage, and that's super cool. But that's really not what I'm requiring. Like, I'm grading the process. I want to reiterate that. This is a fun assignment for you to practice. That's what I'm grading. It's something that we would normally do in class. Okay? Any other questions? Does that sound good to you guys? You excited about it? Something fun, I hope? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good deal. Thank you. Woo. All right. So the link is there in my slides. I'll share it with you. If you like this stuff and you want to read or see some more, I've got some slating resources. These are articles that have some instructions about how to slate. They could be good review for you if you forget, or if you want to like have it on your phone when you're doing your own slate. And I also have a lot of other video resources here. I have some more boom mic videos about how to boom mic. I have another, this one I would watch. This is actually a really good one. This one is about being a second AC. So he talks about marking, blocking, and he talks about doing the slate. It's some reiteration of what we've already seen, but I would encourage you to watch this one. And this one you should watch just for fun. You should just watch this for fun. I think you'll enjoy it. This is Tarantino's second AC, who does all the slate that on all of his films, and she's very creative in the way that she calls her slate, and it adds a lot. It keeps things light on set, which is good because film work is hard, and giving the film crew an opportunity to bond and laugh over something is a good thing. You don't want to distract your actors. You don't want to push it too far, but you can see that this light sort of way that she calls the slate creates a lot of fun inside jokes and a community there on the film set, which is something that you need, honestly, to survive, because it's really hard work. and it takes a long time. And the more fun you can make it, the better off that you will be. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you later.
Hi, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Thank you.